What's up, everybody? Jordy from the 3T crew with our WWE Survivor Series 2020 review. This is one of the big four pay-per-views of the year, and it had extra importance with the farewell to the Undertaker. So we're going to jump right into our review with the pre-show Battle Royale match. All the brands were involved in this, except NXT, which I think was the right decision. I think a lot of people aren't going to agree with me, but until NXT can prove they're successful on their own right, they do not deserve to be piggybacked on the backs of the main roster. The pre-show Battle Royal, the biggest highlight for me was Dominic Mysterio and Chad Gable. They had a lot of good chemistry, a lot of good moves, which doesn't surprise me with Chad Gable. Dominic's coming a long way. He's not 100% there. He's very green still. Putting him in a program with someone like Chad Gable will do wonders for his career, and I think it'll make for some really entertaining matches. The Miz ended up winning with typical heel Battle Royale tendencies, acting like he was eliminated when he wasn't. The Miz wins. Raw is on the board with 1-0 lead. We kick off with, now after the pre-show, we kick off with our actual matches on the main card. The Men's Survivor Series match, Team Raw, AJ Styles as the team captain versus Jey Uso's Team SmackDown. This wasn't as good as last year's traditional Men's Survivor Series match. To me, stuff that really stood out, which was weird because Otis was kind of a big focal point, which in hindsight it's weird because you took the briefcase off of him to push him down, and then now you want to push him in the Men's Survivor Series match and make him look credible. Rollins, key thing is here, he pretty much Kevin Nashed himself with the figure poke of doom. We're going to call it the bro kick of doom to eliminate himself. At this point, we already knew SmackDown was done. Because if Rollins wasn't involved, it was not going to have a real chance for them to win. Jey Uso did have a flurry at the end when it was 5-on-1. But you're not going to win a 5-on-1 match. It's just impossible. No eliminations. Raw does complete the sweep, which was the opposite of how they were booked throughout after losing to Retribution on Raw. Now they swept SmackDown. It doesn't really hurt most of the guys on SmackDown because most of the guys on SmackDown are lesser known guys or guys who were on the middle tier of the card. While Team Raw has guys like Riddle and Keith Lee who are more risers up the card right now. So I think they much more needed that win. Sheamus needed this win because I think you're building into this eventual McIntyre program. AJ needs to be a focal point, and Braun Strowman is going to be a continual focal point. Key things on this also, big rising names of SmackDown were left off the card, especially in this match with Lars Sullivan and Big E. And neither were on Team SmackDown, so you kind of had to figure that Team SmackDown was not going to get it done here. Decent match for me. I'm going to give this 2 broken tables. Now we're jumping into the second match of the evening, which was our Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, and their awesome Gears of War attire. Fire. Love that collaboration. Versus the Street Profits of SmackDown, who are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. I love this match. 2 of my favorite tag teams. 2 of the best tag teams in the world today, regardless of promotion. This felt like a passing of a torch style match. The Street Profits do pick up the win here. Check this one out for sure. 3.5 broken tables. Really solid match here, guys. Now, in between this, you also have shenanigans with R-Truth and the Gobbledygooker in the 24/7 title. R-Truth does defeat the Gobbledygooker for the 24/7 title. Comedy as always. Now, we're jumping into a match that I feel got a little bit too much time. Bobby Lashley versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is still a very capable performer, but he's not the Sami Zayn from NXT. All the litany of injuries that he has suffered on the main roster from his debut, literally his debut he got hurt, to now he's worn out a little bit, so his character is more driving him as opposed to the in-ring stuff. Lashley is decent, but he's more of an imposing figure, not a worker, and they weren't going to have a technical masterpiece here just given the storyline. Lashley picks up the win. 1.5 broken tables to me. This is completely skippable. Went way too long. Lashley should have squashed him. Just really drive home the point that the United States title and Bobby Lashley are important. That's my opinion. Now, first of our women's matches that are back to back, we have Sasha Banks versus Asuka. They've had a lot of matches in 2020 against each other with their program with the Kabuki Warriors versus the Golden Role Models, and how they have got the belt on Sasha, the Raw Women's title on Sasha, and stuff like that. Wow, this was better than those matches recently. This is probably their best match, one-on-one match, I think, with each other since their match on Raw when Asuka was still mid-streak. Sasha Banks picks up the win. This was more of a predictable match, but I don't think people worrying about scoreboards and predictability when you're watching a wrestling match. Let's be real here. Most matches, if you watch a lot of wrestling, you can predict who's going to win and how they're going to win it. Sasha Banks picks up the win. This is 4 broken tables for me. This was a banger. If you want to check out certain matches on this, and so far the tag match are matches that you want to look out for. Personally, this would have been match of the night for me, but I enjoyed the main event just a little bit more due to it was less predictable. Now the traditional women's Survivor Series match was a booking mess. Well, it wasn't a booking mess for the most part. You had Team Raw, Lacey Evans, Peyton Royce, Nia, Shayna, and Lana versus Team Bayley on SmackDown with Bayley, Bianca Belair, Natalia, Tamina, and the Riot Squad, Liv Morgan, and Ruby Riot. Oh, Tamina was not in this match. Wow. Oh. See, I'm just trying. It's just remembering some of the names in the bottom card of the women's division sometimes gets confusing because they don't put them on a lot. That's why, like, you didn't see Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans until literally the episode before Survivor Series where they changed to Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So, like, it's really confusing. My apologies to Team SmackDown on this. You had essentially them Sun and Lana the whole match, which is kind of predictable. That's what they've been doing. I didn't agree how they finished the match, but excuse me, some of the nice things that I were interested in, Peyton Royce pinning Bayley clean was really big. I think they're trying to show you that she's a serious competitor now, as opposed to what Billie Kay's doing on her own with the whole trying to get a contract thing or a job. I think with her, they're trying to make her more serious. She had the superplex spot also. Lacey Evans had some nice, interesting moments there. Her and Bianca looked had a nice little chemistry going on throughout the match. I think everyone was kind of shocked that Bayley was eliminated so early into it, because that throws where I thought was going to happen into total mess. And then, Bianca's by herself against Shayna, Nia, and Lana. She gets Shayna disqualified by not tapping out. She's holding the ropes, count to 5. Love that. You protect Shayna Baszler, you make Bianca look great, because then she came back and was whooping Nia's ass on the outside of the ring, to be frank. Threw her over the barricade, and then it's a count out, and Lana wins. Not how, if you're trying to get a babyface over, an underdog babyface for sympathy, you do it by having them beat somebody or get really close to beating somebody, like maybe her being the last survivor, she beats somebody, and then Belair beats her. I would have had her Bayley and Bianca as the last 2, and then Lana's at the end. And Lana pins Bayley, and then Bianca beats Lana, and then that's how you get her over a little bit more and make her look more serious. At this point, her celebrating that she's a sole survivor while she was crying on the steel steps does no wonders for her. This match is 2.5 broken tables, very average at best. Very disappointed in both traditional Survivor Series matches from this year. I felt they were significantly weaker from the last year's Survivor Series and the year before that. Now in the main event, we had champion versus champion Drew McIntyre, the Scottish Warrior, versus the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. This was another fantastic match. The one-on-one championship matches really delivered other than Zayn Lashley. Roman wins with an assist from Jey Uso, a low blow, Superman punch, guillotine, and McIntyre passes out. Didn't tap out, which is very smart booking on their part. Wow, this was a banger. 4 broken tables for me. Not going to go higher than that because it started off very, very slow, methodical, but once it starts to win Roman Reigns matches and even McIntyre matches, in the second half of the match, and especially the last 3 to 5 minutes, are fantastic. This was Big Four pay-per-view were the main event. The right guy won. Now you saw Jey Uso finally made amends with him losing this Survivor Series match early in the night by helping Roman. Roman embraces his cousin at the end, and the big dog reigns supreme. Now, no one looks weak. McIntyre looks great. Roman looks great going forward. Those are your two centerpieces on each show and in your company overall. Great match. Check that one out. Check out the tag match and check out Sasha and Asuka. The rest of the card, realistically, you could kind of skip it. Now, the Undertaker farewells came along and it's very emotional. You know, you had the good wins, you had the Godfather, you had Savio Vega, you had Shawn Nash, Triple H, Kane, Rikishi, you know, you had the whole BSK crew. You had the Clique, you had a lot of his friends. Vince cut an emotional promo. You could tell it's hard for Vince to let go of that and let go of Undertaker. Undertaker cut a very Undertaker-esque promo saying the Undertaker will rest in peace, and then he walks away. Thank you, Undertaker. You're great. When they do have a Hall of Fame speech, I think we'll see Mark Calloway speak for the first time in WWE history, as opposed to The Undertaker in character. I think this is the farewell to The Undertaker, and Mark Calloway will now be making appearances on television. Not on television, but for the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. Undertaker had a miraculous 30 years. He's the greatest character in wrestling history, and he's a top 5, top 10 big man in wrestling history. If you're not really agreeing with that, you're in the vocal minority of wrestling fans, because there's been great Undertaker matches in every era. I think, for me, ones that stand out is the Jeff Hardy match on Raw, the ladder match. You had Undertaker versus Shawn, Undertaker versus Triple H. You know, you had Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam in Brooklyn, which I personally the scene with the iconic double laugh sit-up thing. He's had a great career. Thank you, Deadman. May your next journey be just as great as this one. Now that's all for our Survivor Series 2020 review. This is Gerard from the 3T Crew signing off. But before I do, if you want to check out the podcast, check us out on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. If you want to support the 3T Crew and cop a shirt, check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com. They have a Black Friday sale coming up. Cop the merch at a steal rate. Now, if you also want to check us out on social media, check us out on Twitter at 3TPod, on Instagram at iStrongStyle, and at Through the Table, on Facebook at Through the Table, and lastly, we're on TikTok at iStrongStyle. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time for 3T Crew on YouTube.